So I gotta say, I am proud of myself for how much I've been able to internalize with what I've learned about law. I ended up typing a whole statement here without needing to Google, knowing the factor that if I were to go ahead and Google the basis of what I'm saying, that I'd be right. And literally, that isn't the point of studying, isn't the point of learning, isn't the point of focusing on a topic to attempt to excel at it. That's literally the basis of education. There's a topic for it called civics. You know, and understanding the way that bureaucratic maze goes. I ended up establishing the factor that I've been saying this whole time. All right, said when it comes to collecting on a debt, it has to meet the threshold of legal, conscionable, non-discriminatory, non-predatory, non-consent coerced, contractually under duress or extorted, reasonable, and meet the threshold of the limitation set by the Federal Debt Collection Act, and is the responsibility of the debt collector to establish the burden of proof backed by evidence with transparency in a legal declaratory motion submitted in a court of law with understanding that submitting such a claim is filed, documented, and saved in the Justice Department's filing archives and be used as evidence for libelous, slander, or predatory debt collection practices that run afoul of the Consumer Protection Act, count as verifiable statements against yourself if proven defamatory, prosecutable by up to 5 years if substantiated and arbitrated, while being speculated the basis which, if unsubstantiated, could be perceived as obstruction of justice if the Department of Justice and Department of Correction decide to continue investigating the validity and forthcoming nature in which the debt has grounds and merit to be executed on legally, with your filing being considered a voluntary submitted statement to establish the grounds of the civil tort alleged contractually, and the solvency of the collateral put up, adjusted to the current value of the filing, was submitted willingly and knowingly. The verifiable nature and basis of the claim wasn't defamation by implication, but speculatory, unsubstantiated basis claims, provable with evidence, not facilitated, commissioned within a perceivable, convictable criminal act like forced entry, robbery, burglary, excessive force, trespassing, litigatory malfeasance, or willful and wrongful neglect of the law, while not using harassment or coercion to obtain property under false pretenses, using the legal system to utilize the court to aid and abet any act that could be misconstrued as fraudulent, turning the Justice Department into a weapon to take someone ransom and blackmail them. So ultimately, it's saying you need to meet the legal threshold of actually proving the claim. What that means is all bank records, all assets, all financial earnings in and out, all, everything, every basis of, what your expenses are, what the actual debt, the damage that it ended up causing, ultimately the way that the damage ended up impacting the forward progression of your life and your future, ultimately needs to be literally, no doubt that you can prove it. All right? While at the same time, too, because provably defamatory is the point. With the basis of what I've been saying, if I'm able to go ahead and prove it by just going to a doctor's appointment, yeah. Have I gone to the doctor's appointment for the checkup, x-ray and everything since the last time that I've been? No. I've basically been hostage to everyone else's schedule. Well, basically infinitely being placed on the back burner, And I just want to know that I'm not doing anything wrong, considering the fact that the burden of proof, somebody wanted to point a finger being like, you owe me money, And basically I've been saying, go ahead and file it and prove it, but I'm pointing out the exact legal basis on exactly why I'm calling your fucking bluff. Not to mention that, but, the unveiling of those financial records, any potential, it could go ahead and expose any potential wire fraud as far as white-collar crimes. So, ultimately, it's like, if you're not filing it in a court of law, while at the same time the other person could actually prove the financial damages that they've ended up enduring due to the damage, reputationally even, that it ended up going ahead and impacting and earning potential, potential future revenues. Yeah. Ultimately, that right there is actually being able to prove defamation of character, So, ultimately, when it comes to civil torts, I'm just saying that's the roadmap that you go if you want to go ahead and claim, you owe me this, or trying to claim, you took this, and because you took this, it ended up costing me this, and this opportunity. It's like, listen, if somebody's still existing, despite the factor of the attempts taken to try to kill them, consider yourself lucky that you're just having to explain financial damages in comparison to having to go ahead and explain the reason for following through on attempted manslaughter. I mean, ultimately, I would think that the person going ahead and having to explain, the financial reason, rather than the reason that the person that you tried to kill, it shouldn't go ahead and throw you in prison for trying to kill them, despite the factor that the basis of, what you tried to kill them for ended up later being provably false. All right? Which, do you know what another way of saying provably false is? Defamatory. Which is the reason that you don't base your legal basis and your financial future on a fucking rumor. So in other words, if you point a finger at somebody saying, you did something wrong, and they said, prove it, there's a legal pathway to do something. There's a person that job is for. It's called the judge. There's a person that going ahead and having to prove the legal right that you have to have the fucking sense of entitlement and the nerve that you do. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's quite a few people, probably sitting at the sidelines like saying, yeah, who gave you that authority? What gave you that right? Just saying.